Next news. Breaking news from the White House.
CNN said the quiet part out loud. Not us. CNN. A source inside the intelligence apparatus told them, quote, "The deep state firings have begun." There it is. The confession, the panic, the whole protected racket caught in one line. And why are ABC, CNN, Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and even Tom Tillis melting down? Because President Trump just dropped Bill Pulte into ODNI as acting chief. And Trump built the move for speed. Trump said that Pulte is less shackled in the acting role. Less shackled means fewer excuses, fewer Senate games, fewer bureaucrats hiding behind badges and acronyms, and now the fortress is taking hits. See, this matters because ODNI does not sit off to the side handing out paper clips. That office oversees the intelligence machinery that career operatives use for years to leak, stall, manipulate, and smother elected leadership. The fight here is not over office seating charts. The fight is over who commands the apparatus. President Donald Trump, chosen by voters, or the cartel in Washington that turned national security into a protected jobs program for regime loyalists. CNN handed us the proof with that line, "The deep state firings have begun," and then pretended the tragedy was the firings, not the deep state. ABC pushed the same panic and even broadcast Trump's point that Pulte can move because he's temporary, because he's less shackled. Exactly, that is the win. And Tom Tillis exposed himself even further, screaming that Pulte is an incompetent sycophant. No, Senator, he's the wrecking ball. You are defending the building. And the people inside that building know their taxpayer-funded fortress just stopped being permanent. You see, CNN blurting out the deep state firings have begun reminded me how often the regime sneers at anything that actually helps people. Then I saw Joe Rogan and Mel Gibson talking serious health struggles, light-based therapies, and Gibson says the stuff works. And that hit home after Jonathan Otto introduced our family to red light therapy. My wife went from constant discomfort and anxiety to real restful sleep, improved recovery, and better energy. We saw support for recovery and sleep without chasing expensive outside appointments. There's NASA-backed research behind the cellular-level impact and FDA-cleared devices that support circulation and reduce inflammation at myredlight.com. You get red and near-infrared wavelengths, deeper penetration, PEMF mats, full-body coverage, infrared heat, and at-home use instead of paid sessions. Go to myredlight.com, use NNN25 for individual items or NNN30 for bundles. You can break the cartel everywhere. See, one detail makes this even sweeter. Tom Tillis did not just gripe. He detonated on camera and called Bill Pulte an incompetent sycophant while warning the cuts would be a hot, steamy pile of Doge shit. That's what he said. That kind of language from a Republican senator tells you the knives are already out inside Washington. Good. Because when Senate meddlers start sounding more hysterical than CNN, you know Trump found the nerve. Now I'm going to show you the receipts, and I want to get to the part that should terrify every protected leaker in that building. This is not just about firings. It's about the files. Good Morning America. They even did a story on this. They said he has begun the firings at the agency.
The acting director of national intelligence had promised to make hundreds of cuts, and this morning sources tell us those firings are now underway. Now, it is not clear how many jobs are going to be affected, but sources say the National Counterterrorism Center is likely to be hit hard. Pulte, who just took over the role last week, today's actually his second full day on the job, is a Trump loyalist with zero intelligence experience. But the president has made clear he wants him to slash jobs at the agency, and Trump says he thinks Pulte is actually better able to make these cuts because he's in the role temporarily. Trump saying he's less shackled to do this. Now, Democrats and many Republicans have strongly opposed Pulte being in this role, even for the short term, and they've tried to prevent this. All of this and these cuts are sure to be a topic of conversation when the president meets tomorrow with Senate Republicans, Michael.
Yeah, the whole thing makes you shake your head, Mary. And we're also learning the Pentagon, they're asking for nearly $80 billion for the Iran war.
Yeah, Michael, the Pentagon is at.
So we're now learning from CBS News just over 50 people have lost their job at ODNI since Pulte became acting director of national intelligence. ODNI terminated 6 career and political intelligence officials. 45 have been sent back to their home agencies. Pulte had been asking deputies and other directors for suggestions. One source said the cuts had been pretty thoughtful and methodical. They didn't move out anyone from the counterintelligence group, as you just heard from Good Morning America. No further firings are planned for now. But ABC confirming the cuts are underway. Usual D.C. crowd is panicking. Now here's Bannon with the blunt test. If Schumer, Warner, and Lindsey all hate Bill Pulte, there's a pretty good sign he's hitting the right targets.
Why Bill Pulte's so important. The reason he's so important is the meltdown by the system. If Mark Warner and Tom Cotton and Lady Lindsey and this entire crowd, Schumer, Pocahontas, all of them, if they all hate Pulte, we love him. If they all hate Pulte, we love him, just by definition.
So he says the system's meltdown tells you everything. Now, one Republican Senator, Tom Tillis, goes completely unglued, calling Pulte an incompetent sycophant over the firings. Check this out.
If Pulte does a reduction in force the way that I've been engaged to do it before, where you do the analysis, you make sure you retain the most capable people, and you only eliminate the people whose jobs can be either automated or never should have been there, good. My guess is, based on his past experience, it's just going to be another hot, steamy pile of Doge shit. I think he's an incompetent sycophant and not the right person to lead DNI.
Tom Tillis unleashed. He is warning that the acting director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte, is undermining the agency by firing staff en masse. The large-scale cuts are underway right now after Pulte showed up a day early to the job last week and demanded a list of every employee in the office.
So Tillis gave the game away with that tantrum. Next, CNN itself confirms what Trump allies have been saying out loud. The deep state firings have begun. Kristen Holmes says, firings at the office of DNI started today. The deep state firings have begun, the source said, declining to give details on how many jobs have been cut. So CNN using the phrase everyone in Washington hates to hear, deep state firings. Next row coverage shows just how rattled they are by Pulte moving fast and Democrats crying about who's getting cut.
Trump's controversial pick as acting director of national intelligence, Bill Pulte, has been slashing jobs. One source tells CNN, quote, the deep state firings have begun, end quote. That source did not elaborate on what exactly they mean by deep state. Pulte has no known background in intelligence or national security, but he is temporarily leading the office of the DNI, which oversees 18 intelligence agencies. Democrats are voicing alarm over his large-scale cuts in the intelligence community.
Bill Pulte is somebody who has zero experience when it comes to national security and intelligence matters. His sort of defining mission in the Trump administration has been as a political hitman for Donald Trump to go after his political adversaries. And now this is the guy who's going to be firing people with experience and expertise when it comes to our national security intelligence matters. So what could go wrong?
CNN's Kevin Liptak joins us now live from the...
So CNN trying to sell panic over the cleaning house, but Trump has a different view. Here explains why he picked Pulte for the acting role, and being temporary makes him harder for the Senate swamp to stop.
Pulte is the acting director of national intelligence. There's been a little bit of a pushback from some Senate Republicans. Why do you think, Mr. President, he's the best person for the job?
Well, he's very smart. He's a person who's got high integrity. He's done a phenomenal job at Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. You probably have $1 trillion in value there. When he took over, it was much less. And I guess I'm responsible for that, too, because everybody wanted me to sell it in my first term for 10% of what it's worth right now. If I would have sold it, we would have lost $900 billion. We would have lost, think of it, it's probably worth $1 trillion. And I was offered, people want me to sell it at $100 billion, a very small percentage of what it's worth now. So, and he built it up a lot, did a great job. And it's an acting position, it's not a permanent. He's not going to be permanent because, I don't think he'd want to be permanent. but he's a very smart guy, and he may find out some things about the rigged elections, et cetera, et cetera. I think he'd like to do it. I think he wants to do it very much. Got a lot of energy, but he'll be very good. Again, it's not a permanent position. Right. We're interviewing people right now, but it's somebody just to take it over for a little while.
Does he have the necessary, in your view, Mr. President, the necessary national security experience to take on that position?
Well, I do, and I think he does, actually, because he's smart. Because a lot of national security, I wasn't greatly experienced in national security, and I think I've done a really great job with it. A lot of people would say that I've ended 8 wars, and soon to be a 9th. I hope that works out too. Frankly,
So Trump makes the case that he's there to do a job, not win over Capitol Hill. Next, to see why MAGA is lining up behind him. While Letitia James and the establishment crowd would clearly rather have anyone else in the seat. My White House correspondent colleague, Kara Castronova at Lindell TV, had this report to file today.
New York Attorney General Letitia James is in self-preservation mode. One of President Trump's fiercest enemies, a confused James, went on MS Now and praised what appeared to be Trump's nominee for Director of National Intelligence, Jay Clayton, saying she hopes that the Senate confirms him.
Though he doesn't have all of the credentials, he is someone who has been professional and someone who knows the law.
Letitia James' praise for President Trump's pick has many in MAGA concerned, and it's obvious James wants anyone but Bill Pulte in the job, to the point where she couldn't even get basic facts straight. She referred to Clayton as the, quote, Attorney General of the Eastern District of New York.
The candidate who was once the Attorney General for the Eastern District here in the state of New York.
A position that doesn't even exist. And Bill Pulte, the acting head of DNI until Clayton is confirmed, is the man who has hit James with criminal referrals over alleged mortgage and insurance fraud. No wonder she's desperate. While Democrats like Letitia James appear comfortable with Clayton, populist MAGA world is showing something rare in the past year: broad unity. After close to a year of MAGA infighting over Middle East foreign policy, the coalition is unified in wanting Bill Pulte to stay at DNI. Steve Bannon and Roger Stone have publicly feuded for years. Laura Loomer and Marjorie Taylor Greene have traded plenty of public barbs. Alex Jones generally has his own unique theories. Yet right now, they're all in uniform agreements. Keep Bill Pulte as the acting director of national intelligence. Roger Stone said, quote, Bill Pulte will be a great director of national intelligence. Smart, tough, and deeply loyal to President Donald J. Trump. Bannon called the Pulte move a middle finger to the Senate, an FU to the deep state. He suggested giving Pulte time, saying, give Pulte a couple of weeks. Let him just rummage around and see what's going on. Marjorie Taylor Greene has called Pulte a fighter. Anna Paulina Luna posted, Bill Pulte will be a great ODNI. Go, Bill, go. Laura Loomer has labeled Clayton as a deep state plant, and Alex Jones has called Clayton part of a, quote, Epstein file cover-up. Loomer is one of Pulte's strongest supporters, rooting for him to carry out mass firings of entrenched officials and calling his aggressive, drain the swamp approach exactly what the MAGA base wants. Since taking office on June 19th, Pulte has wasted zero time. He showed up a day early, demanded a full list of ODNI employees, and declared he's there to drain the swamp, openly planning major firings and pushing declassifications. Many in MAGA hope he'll follow in the footsteps of former DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard in releasing information on the 2020 election, COVID crimes, and more. Many speculate that's why rhinos and Democrats want Pulte out, and why the intelligence community and the establishment Republicans are so eager to rush Jay Clayton through. Senators like Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell, Tom Cotton, John Thune, and others have been pushing hard for quick confirmation, viewing Clayton as a safe, experienced choice with Democrat support. Clayton, a former Sullivan and Cromwell partner and current U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, is Trump's official nominee. But President Trump is strategically holding the confirmation hostage. He is demanding that the Senate first confirm his pick for Southern District U.S. Attorney James McDonald, along with movement on the Save America Act. FISA Section 702 reauthorization is also stuck in the leverage play. For now, Bill Pulte remains acting DNI, and for MAGA, he has become a powerful unifier. If he does what he says and fires entrenched officials and releases long-hidden documents, the stronger that unity grows, which is exactly what Trump's base wants and needs heading into the crucial 2026 midterms. Reporting for Lindell TV at the White House, I'm Kara Castronova.
What an amazing report, Kara. At the White House, so MAGA is uniting around Pulte because they see a fighter taking a wrecking ball to the intel bureaucracy. Mike Davis takes it a step further, saying Trump should give Pulte time to rip that place apart before handing the job to anyone else.
I love that President Trump put Bill Pulte in charge of the DNI, Director of National Intelligence. Bill Pulte is, as I always say, a bold and fearless warrior for the Constitution. He's a businessman. He's not a politician. He's not a creature of Washington, not a creature of the swamp. And he'll go in there and he'll rip apart that place. For as long as President Trump needs Bill Pulte to rip apart that place. I would just say this as someone who used to confirm judges and Justice Department officials and others when I worked in the Senate. Even if the Senate confirms Jay Clayton as the next DNI, President Trump does not have to sign his commission and swear him in until President Trump is ready. So they should feel. I don't think President Trump should wait to have Jay Clayton confirmed. Have him confirmed, and then he can just hang out until Bill Pulte has gone through and broken every piece of China in DNI. And then when Bill Pulte's done breaking China, then Jay Clayton can get his commission handed to him, delivered, and then sworn in, and then he can start.
Genius. Absolutely genius. So the moral verdict lands right on that CNN sentence. The deep state firings have begun. A source inside ODNI used the phrase deep state because even the insiders know what that building became. Then Tom Tillis ripped off the mask and called Bill Pulte an incompetent sycophant. For who? For Donald Trump, the elected president? Tillis did not defend voters, he defended process, bureaucracy, and the same insulated class that sabotaged the America First movement for years. Steve Bannon framed it perfectly. If Mark Warner, Tom Cotton, Lady Lindsay, Chuck Schumer, and Pocahontas all hate Bill Pulte, we love him. See, that's not tribalism. That is target confirmation. Pulte is hitting the cartel where it lives. Payroll, access, and protection. You see, President Trump just outmaneuvered the Senate crowd with one clean move. He put Bill Pulte in as acting chief, gave him room to move fast, and told the country exactly why, because he's smart, he has integrity, and is acting as in an acting role, he's less shackled. See, that wasn't a throwaway line. That was the whole strategy. Less shackled means fewer choke points for Mark Warner, Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, Tom Tillis, and every media clerk at ABC and CNN who wants the intelligence bureaucracy to stay untouchable. The backlash will get uglier from here because the swamp protects itself. Expect more leaks, expect more smears, expect more Republican cowardice dressed up as prudence. But do not miss the score. Tulsi Gabbard opened the files. Bill Pulte is cleaning out the building. If you want that to continue, send this segment to one person still pretending the deep state's a myth and tell them to read CNN's own words out loud. I want to make sure you get the news you depend on. I put this number on the screen at the end of every segment because it's important. Our news is important. You're important. And I want you to be informed, and I want you on the inside track like thousands and thousands of patriots already are. Just text the words raw feed to 844-840-4963 and get notifications, the ones that YouTube never sends. Get them direct from me to your phone. That's my promise to you. And celebrate the wins with the Next News Network by going to the merch shelf below this video. Celebrate America 250 with us, or just go to shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.